Welcome to this edition of Vince and You. My name is OC Vince. This is African Free Press TV, where we report Africa to you from a refreshing perspective. On this edition, once again, I have the fantastic Amanda Chisom, our guest today. Welcome on board, Amanda Chisom, once again. Today we are actually talking about our fantastic President Muhammadu Buhari. The focus today will be looking at what kind of challenges is he having, what kind of challenges is he going to have going into the future. Now, we all know in governance, every leader, every president, every director may face some challenges. Let's talk about the issue of his team. Do you think that the Nigerian youth may not find him, because when we talk about Nigerian youth, they are the ones that want to play a role in politics, that want to their voice to the head. They are the ones that just believe anything they hear and just roll with it. Now, do you think that Nigerian youth will be very happy with him, or are they going to be a challenge for him in the sense of they're not so far so good? Their involvement in his team of his appointment has been zero. That's number one. Do you think that Nigerian women would be a challenge for him, because in so far in all his appointments, we've got only one woman in the INEC that's been involved? And obviously, let me hear your thoughts about the issue of Nigerian youth involvement and Nigerian women involvement in all the appointments so far and looking to the future. Is that going to be a challenge for him?
Looking in the area of youth inclusion and women inclusion, I had always been a fan of the last administration because of his attitude towards women in governance. He actually encouraged a lot of women to get into governance, and under
this is the last time you talk about the last government. Okay.
Under him, so many women were challenged to be their best. We saw women making strides, but this time, the president, I don't know his president, I was not there then, but from all I know, he has not been a woman-friendly president. It's the truth. I saw a list of people. I was born when he was the president, but I've seen a list of people that were actually in his cabinet. I didn't see one woman. There was no woman there. So I'm not sure, but let's believe that he said he's a change Democrat. So we're looking to the inclusion of so many women. The Nigerian woman is a powerful woman in Africa, respected and feared, but here it seems she's undermined every day. So I'm looking forward to inclusion of very strong characters that can actually help him achieve his aim in changing in Nigeria and ensuring a corrupt-free Nigeria. I'm looking forward to a youth inclusion because I believe that the youth of a country are the bone of every country. Without them, the country crumbles. They are the one who will tell you as it is. They are not afraid of you. They'll say whatever they want to say, and they have the energy to fight if you want them to fight, which we don't actually encourage them to do. But I'm looking forward. During the election, I followed up the campaigns. I heard a lot of intelligent young men and women speak for the change because they believed in it. I saw passion, I saw energy. I've been expecting to see these young people included in governance, but so far so good. It seems that they were just used to scream, and actually they have been abandoned. Honestly, I look forward to seeing them there because they are the people that you can actually challenge because they are your peers. You can say you're not doing this right, and they correct themselves immediately.
Okay, let's look at the issue of, when you talk about the issue of youths and women. Now, if the youth are not involved in the appointment so far, if women are not involved in the appointment so far, so the question is, who has been involved? Am I correct to say that one of the challenges that is facing the current president of Nigeria, our dear and loved President Muhammadu Buhari, is he recycling senior citizens to be part of his team? When I say senior citizens, you can look at the issue. We are talking about a change mantra. I know in the past we've had a Controller General of Customs who was an army officer, but we are talking about change mantra, and the challenges of that change is he back again recycling another retired army officer to be the Controller General of Customs? That's number one. Number two, the leader of his transition team happens to be somebody who I had retired about the time I was born. Now, you see loads of men that have retired, that have served 35 years or reached the age of 63 or 65, according to Nigerian labor laws, are being recycled back. So, with the exclusion of young women or women, with the exclusion of Nigerian youth, so we are only left with our senior citizens. Are we saying that one of the challenges that's going to be facing our fantastic president is the issue of recycling senior citizens and leaving out our women, our youth, out of his cabinet? Is that a challenge?
When it comes to that, I've always said the president is a recycled leader. So when it comes to that, he's actually going to stick with his own kind. But these are the people he knows. I'm very sure that the president do not have young friends of my age and your age.
Does he need to have them? He doesn't need to have them.
No, sometimes you do need to have them, because I will always use the last administration as an example. There were times in his campaign he sat down with young people and talked to them. I was in one of such meetings and they were frank. They told him, this is what you did that we did not like. We were not in your government. Why were you not including us in your government? This is what we expect from you. So there's not, their openness between the Nigerian youth and their leader has not been established. It still looks like some of us are selling our birthright for a pot of porridge, or we're selling our birthright for shekels, for nothing. So it falls to the Nigerian youth. We do not understand the power we have to effect change. So it falls on the average Nigerian youth to stand up and say, no, I do not want your money anymore. I want what is due to me. When it comes to recycling leaders, I'm not surprised per se, because these are the people he might have probably worked with in the past, and he feels that he can trust them and he's working with them. He has come out to say that I can only work with those I can trust.
Yes.
So you will not blame him when he does things like that. But I actually also want him to look in the direction of encouraging the young leaders, because whether you like it or not, nature has made it in such a way that you are not going to outlive a certain number of years. At the end of the day, every man is going to die. It does not mean the youth live forever or anything, but life is in phases. If you do not do what you're supposed to do in a particular phases, chances are that you may never get the opportunity to do them anymore. They have done their turn. I think it's time to encourage the next generation to pick up from where they left, and also encourage them to be better than where they are. Because I believe that you should always encourage your children to do better than you do. We do not have that here.
Before we conclude, thank you for that contribution. If you're just joining us, this is African Free Press TV, and we're talking on this edition of Vince and You. We're talking about the challenges that has been facing or could be facing our dear President Muhammadu Buhari. Before we go, let's talk about the issue of our international reputation, if it's going to be a challenge, and also we can also talk about the issue of communication. Now, when I talk about communication, you see, is it a challenge where we'll have a president who is not in close touch with Nigerians? Is that going to be a challenge? You have a president that is always speaking through a spokesperson. We, as a technology age, young Nigerians, grown-up Nigerians would appreciate a president who can have a kind of a media roundup with us, once every month or once every other month, to hear from the market women, hear from the businessmen, hear from the students, hear from the teachers. Set up a forum that once every month or once every month, he gets down to the grassroots of people that has basic education that can actually tell him what they feel. Is that a big challenge for him? And finally, the issue of international reputation. We all hear that the issue of he's gone over to France recently, he's been to the US, he's been to South Africa, and we hear all this narrative that our global reputation is getting better. But we are still to see that number of influx of Nigerians that return home during the time of President Obasanjo, during the time of President Goodluck Jonathan. We are still to see that massive return home by Nigerians. What do you think about the issues of this kind of challenges to him?
When it comes to our international reputation, The president did something I didn't find funny as a nationalist. He goes abroad in the midst of so much media frenzy and so much presence of foreign medias and local media. He tells Nigeria, do not come back. We are still trying to do this. And I think the overemphasis on Nigeria is so corrupt, Nigeria is this, is not doing good for our reputation, because if you don't trust yourself, if you can't speak good of your household, you don't expect a stranger to do that for you. When it comes to the area of communication, we have to be very honest. If we needed a communicative president, a media-savvy president, we would not have voted in Buhari. If Buhari was the president when there was no social media, how do you expect him to cope? Naturally, he's doing well with his present spokespeople, but I expect them to better up their action. Because one of the problems I had with the last administration was his spokespeople too. They were not doing good enough. And Femi and Shehu are not doing well either. They are not communicating effectively. They just feel that they just say this and people grab it and talk about it. And we have to understand that social media is a game changer. Social media has changed the way of communication. So you don't expect a situation whereby the president is on NTA, on AIT, talking about something. How many people listen to that these days? So many people don't have time for television. I'm one of those people. I do not watch television, but I feel I can get whatever I want, whatever information I want from the social media.
Right.
So we want a president who can create. I'm going to use the Kenyan president for example. He has a very up-to-date social media account that everything he does, his daily activities, you see them on his social media. You can relate and you can actually say, no sir, you didn't do this right, why can't we do this? The communication gap is very well managed. So I expect the president, not naturally because of his age and his time, some things do not change, we have to accept that. But I expect him to, through his spokesman, actually effect a meaningful communication. I don't think the president has to be the one talking to everybody, like you say, in a town hall meeting. The vice president is someone I like to listen to. He's savvy, he's a professional, he's someone I really, really like.
But is he going to get a chance to be doing such kind of things?
That's the thing. In Nigeria, the office of the vice president looks more like the office of a glorified housewife who does visit and fancy visits and all that. But if the vice president is given the chance to do these town hall meetings himself, I believe we'll get somewhere.
But I'm not sure he's also a social media savvy person, because I'm not sure of his presence.
Yeah, that's why you have professionals. The person who is the social media aide for the president is someone who has been on Twitter. He doesn't have a Facebook presence, but he's someone who has been on Twitter and a strong presence on Twitter. But when you have someone on Facebook, I see so many of the young people that actually campaigned for the president. So many of them. There was a Sunday Akoji who I knew very well. I expect people like that to be handling the social media presence of the president. If those kind of people are communicating the daily activities of the vice president or the president himself on social media, I believe we'll get somewhere.
Alright, Nigerians, you've heard it. Even if you're not a Nigerian, what we've been talking about today is the kind of challenges that has been facing our dear President Muhammadu Buhari and the kind of challenge that could be facing him tomorrow. And today, the fantastic Amanda Chisom has spent so much time to lay emphasis on the things that needs to change for us to have this more credible international reputation, have more faith in our security, reduce the issue of the shenanigans between Southeast, South, not loving the president, some parts of the Southwest, North Central, not being in tune. I think our word here is to encourage Mr. President to be more of a unifying father, more of a unifying figure that could help to reduce the challenges, to also get the youth of Nigeria more involved in leadership positions, in his appointments, in his future cabinet, and to get the women of Nigeria, our mothers, all raised us up. And we know that almost every country that a woman or women has led or contributed immensely, you see they always cover the basic needs that most men look out for. We don't want to see a police force that will never see an IGP of police being a woman. We want to see a change. We don't want to see an army where a woman never being chief of army staff, or chief of air staff or chief of naval staff. We want to see more women involved in leadership, not just give one woman one position and they think that's okay. No, when it comes to you want to do campaign, you bring a woman to take care of the women leadership. That's not what we are talking about. If we don't get these things right, the challenges that our dear president is facing now is this way. In the future, it could increase. It could even go further until we start seeing that unifying figure. Thank you once again, Amanda, for coming on board, and thank you for listening. Remember, this is African Free Press TV. My name is OC Vint, and you can follow us on our Twitter handle at African Free Press. Like our Facebook page /AfricanFreePress.com, or check out our website www.AfricanFreePress.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of us, and keep watching. God bless you.